But one area that seems to be trending the right way is the O-line. We talked about the tackles, obviously, last year. Both turned out to be really nice additions. And then you've got a guard in Lewis who you're very familiar with and has done some great things while he's been here. And you bring in two guys, Oluwatimi and then Bradford as a guard out of LSU that apparently Lewis is friends with. And you feel pretty good about the potential. We'll see what they do. But Shane Waldron, who was on with Brock and Salk, talked about, both of those guys. You can just tell they've played in big-time college games.
Yeah, I think both Olu and Anthony, you can tell the guys that came from big programs have played, in the national spotlight there. So when they came in here, I don't think it felt like it was too big for them. They're just able to slide right in and really get their grasp on a new system. I think you really see Olu's control right away of the offense, and at that center position, knowing that'll be a great competition with him and Evan and Joey there to take that starting center role. So the first thing we're looking for is what type of command and control that player can have, and he's really demonstrated all those things in the early stages.
That's one thing I mean, it makes perfect sense. I just hadn't really given it that much consideration that kids coming from Georgia, coming from Alabama, coming from Ohio State, these huge, Michigan, huge programs playing in front of over 100,000 people, as opposed to, this kid's coming from, East Carolina or, you know what I mean?
North Carolina State.
Yeah. One of those.
Or not NC State, but I mean, what was the guy? I'm sorry to interrupt, Bob, but it was North Carolina Central. Small program.
Where that transition from college to the pro. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Kids coming from those programs with that kind of spotlight, that kind of attention and crowd that follows you, that transition's got to be a lot easier. This probably still is there are nerves and you're excited, but probably not as overwhelming as it would be if you came from, when they call them the directional schools.
Yeah, right, exactly. And, that's the thing, LSU, and they do pump that up a lot. Here's the thing, though, that scouts will tell you, though. The guys from the smaller schools, what happens when I give him what this guy had at Michigan and what at the pro level, all of the resources, and you look at all the resources that the Seahawks have. I mean, whether it's from the lady who brings you or guy, the trainer that brings you the shakes that are specially designed to, replenish your body.
Yeah, for your specific needs.
Yeah, they do for test, the food, the weight program, the coaching, all that stuff. I mean, you're getting that at LSU. You're getting that at Michigan. You're not getting it at the smaller schools. So I think that's the kind of balance there. But you do, I mean, whenever we get a guy from like LSU, you think, he's already played a couple years of pro ball, right?
Yeah. Yeah, especially Alabama, same thing. So and speaking of LSU,
I was going to say real quick to finish Olu, because I know we're going to talk about Anthony Bradford because they mentioned him a lot. But Olu, how I picture a center is always like Max Unger, and this goes back to, you wouldn't remember, Blair Bush. Blair Bush was the center.
The name.
Yeah, he was the center for the Seahawks. For really good centers have a certain like almost specific demeanor that they're very articulate and calm and composed, and nothing rattles them. I mean, Blair Bush was the guy that, like, you could go and ask him about investments. What do you think's going to happen in the strike? And he was just like the wise man, basically. I think, Max Unger was like that, Joey Hunt, really smart guy.
Justin Britt.
That's what Britt was kind of a brawler. He was more of like
he had some nasty to him.
A bad guy, yeah.
But he was a smart dude. He was.
Yeah, he was. Because he played all three positions.
Yeah.
And that I admire that. But that's what I get from Olu. That, I saw his post interview, the way he just carries himself, watched him out on the field. Him and Mike Morris were taking pictures out there with their families and everything because they're both from Michigan. And I got that vibe from him. Now, does that say whether or not he can play? No, but it certainly is. He kind of fits the mold.
Yeah. I'm excited about him. I don't know. It's weird to be excited about a center.
Yeah.
And it really is.
It's an important position, man.
Well, because they just have struggled over the years with really getting this line from one end to the other. You've got good players here and there, and then you'll have this spot where you're like, ugh. It could definitely improve. And that's a lot to ask. How many teams have, going
all
from
five.
left to right,
Yeah.
all 5 are guys you go, stud, stud, stud. I mean, that's just a rarity.
It's like a rotation in the or Major League Baseball.
Exactly right.
You're going to have like a 4 or 5 that's maybe a little weak, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and you're right. And the other thing, Brady Henderson, when he was on with Bump and Stacy, was talking about they've had 11 centers in 12 years. 11 centers.
A lot of turnover.
Yeah, since Pete got here. So
Well, you named them, and there were some I don't even remember hearing their name before. And you're like, this guy was a center for 2 years.
Well, like, I named him back to Brady, and he goes, "Wow, that was pretty good." I go, "No, I listened to you.
I took this from
he
you."
He had the list. So, but yeah, I mean, everything from and good ones. Max Unger, Britt was good.
Yeah.
But then
Posick, and then you start getting in the weeds on some like, oh yeah, that guy,
Steve Schilling. There was a guy named remember
Patrick
the guy
Lewis?
Novak, Patrick Lewis. There was a guy named Novak or Nowak.
Is that the one that there was somebody that played? You said for like 2 seasons or something, and I'm like, dude, I don't remember hearing that name.
Yeah. So I mean, it's really important that they get a good center out of this group. So they have this Evan Brown guy that they brought from Detroit, who they moved to guard because Frank Ragnow took his job in Detroit. They got him. They've got Joey Hunt, and then they've got Olu, and so. You got 3 for 1 there, and then as we get on here to Anthony Bradford, I kind of feel like you got 3 for 2. You've got Lewis, Phil Haynes, who they just signed, which I thought was significant, and then you've got Anthony here to see if the young guy Bradford can possibly, at least like I said, you've got 3 guys to choose from that I think are really competitive.